This is the Being Your Own CEO Success Circle. And this morning, we're going to have something kind of special and a surprise for everybody. Special guest. This morning, Susan is going to share her experience. My name is Lowell Ann, and in my coaching and consulting work, I help solopreneurs stay focused and motivated as we take their business to the next level with some simple structure and some pretty easy technology. We'll be right back after this. Well, greetings wherever you are, and welcome to Being Your Own CEO. This is a weekly success circle intended as a support for solopreneurs. We get together because we enjoy each other's company, but we also love exchanging ideas and information and lots of experimentation. We all give and receive support. You can discover what we stand for by reviewing our operating principles on the VCP page. Is our shortened way of saying that I have a page on my website, beingyourown.ceo.com, where you can see the operating principles and watch the video and add comments. I want to welcome our viewers out there and invite them to check in by telling us what you do and where you are and anything that's exciting for you right now. And now it's time for the members of the panel to introduce themselves. So let's see, who shall I pick on this morning to go first? Well, Vivek, you and I have been working away this morning, so you must be pretty well warmed up. How would you like to begin?
Namaste. My name is Vivek, and Vivek Technology is my brand. Simplicity is my theme. I believe in simplicity. I believe in thinking differently. And I'm proud to share my belief with Steve Jobs and Leonardo da Vinci, who said simplicity is the ultimate in sophistication. So I would tend to keep it simple always. So I am in England, UK, and weather has been a bit cloudy since morning. It's a cloudy day. It's autumnal. Autumn is upon us, and it's not all that warm outside. It's getting colder and colder and darker sooner. Glad to be here, and let's see what our guest has to say about our brains. Brains have been in the news recently.
Yes, no kidding. So so everybody is aware, Vivek is the designer and originator of Chipmunk, the system that I use to inform everybody. And those on the panel this morning, you got your information a little on the tight side this morning because we were doing a quick update before everything got started this morning. So we do apologize for that. I usually have everything up and rolling and running right at 8 o'clock, but it it didn't happen until 8:30 this morning. So, but I do encourage anybody who's plans on running any kind of video or anything going on their website that you contact Vivek and have a look at Chipmunk. Or if you really want to see how it works, I'd be happy to come on to a Zoom and show you what I do to make it happen. So I just wanted to make sure everybody's aware that Vivek is the brains behind all of this. He's a programmer.
Thank you.
Okay, let's see. Heidi, I think you were here quite early. How would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, first of all, it's a long time that I didn't come anymore. I'm into from the outside, but not always. So I'm glad to be back because I sort of missed you.
We missed you too.
Yeah, I'm busy preparing a new series in Wisdom Factory about conscious living and conscious dying, as my husband and co-host of the Wisdom Factory has done 3 months ago, and I have gone alone. So I try to bridge this time by dedicating this to him. I have a new thing bought finally, this huge
Wow.
Wisdom microphone. And now I only have to figure out finally how to bring Zoom into YouTube with a Mac, or I have to do a big shopping and buy a good gaming computer. I really, I have here the computer of Mark, and I try to go along with Windows. I find it so difficult and so annoying. So I really don't want to do that, but I really want to go away from Hangouts and use Zoom for the live broadcast.
Yes.
And
yeah.
so I will have to decide what to do. Anyway, I'm glad to be back and curious what is going on today.
Right on. So so happy to have you back. And surely there's somebody out there who uses a Mac and also uses OBS. So I still think there must be somebody out there that could help Heidi.
I have about 2 meters of conversations on the OBS forum with the person who knows Mac. But
okay.
Still, I didn't get it. So,
Yeah.
Okay. Technology.
Yeah.
I'm working so many hours a day to try to make things work, like a new Wi-Fi and this and that,
Yeah.
You pass hours and hours and hours, and then when you finally get it, that's fine. But until that, time flows by.
Yeah. Heidi, we've all been there. We're all there now. So
yeah.
That's what we all have in common, for heaven's sake. I'm happy you have been able to come back. So let's see, David, how would you like to introduce yourself?
Good morning. My name is Dave Flannery. I run websites for affordable websites for small businesses, and I'm also a real estate agent for United Country, Sauk Valley Realty, Team Flannery. I am here to monitor the chat, and we have one person in there. Javita again has come again. This from India. So namaste. If you have any questions or comments, put them in chat, and I will get them out to the panel.
All right. Namaste. Jivita. Did I say it right, Vivek? Seems to me last week I discovered that I was putting the emphasis in the wrong place. So nice to have you here. Okay, let's see. Fred, how about you?
Yes. Hello, I'm Fred Jones, located in Victoria, British Columbia, on Vancouver Island, on the west coast of Canada. How's that for a mouthful? Everybody's celebrating today the big LNG project, $40 billion being spent, the largest private investment in Canada in the history of Canada. That's just been announced. So it's quite amazing. So you had the Prime Minister talking this morning, and of course all the other officials saying, wow, this is wonderful for the West Coast. So we'll see.
Yes.
But I'm the creator of Our Future Leaders, which is a online group sessions for young people. I promote them to learn communication skills, leadership skills, which helps them with their self-confidence as they enter adulthood and become the leaders that our world really need, especially in this changing times. So this is my passion, and I really enjoy working with young people.
Right on.
And this hat has a significance. You see, it has a flower on it.
Yes.
And I often use flowers in my blog posts. And I say, if you plant seeds, you get beautiful flowers. If you plant seeds with children, you get beautiful adults. So that's the significance of this hat.
Oh, right on.
It.
I love it. Oh, that's cute. So happy you're here, Fred. Susan, how would you like to just introduce yourself? And we know that you'll have lots of opportunity to say more, but just by way of, doing your elevator pitch that you normally do.
Sure. Thank you, Lowell Ann. I'm really happy to be here and see people I haven't seen for a while. I used to come to this pretty regularly, but it's difficult with my day job to get here during the middle of the day. My name is Susan Joy Schlief, and I have just published a book, which I'll be talking more about, I'm sure, but let me hold it up here. I'm so proud of it. Get your message into their brains. And part of what I do in my business is help entrepreneurs improve their content marketing. I do that through individual done-for-you services and coaching, as well as training and creating templates. And a lot of my message is about creating visual content marketing, because the visuals, of course, help to get the message out. And then also a certain method of incorporating story into the content, because people listen to stories in a way that they don't listen to facts, and they definitely don't listen to sales pitches. So there's a whole methodology of 4 steps in the book. But
well, we're going to talk about that later. So
right.
Right
Yep.
on.
So that's enough for now, I think.
Yeah. Okay. So so happy that you're here. I hate to say this, but there's something going on in Victoria that is a big conflict. We have a municipal election about to happen, and this morning on CFAX there is a forum where all the people who are running for mayor, and guess what? It starts at 9 o'clock. So my friend Paul, who sometimes comes, is working in one of the candidates' offices, and he was asking me to share the word. I felt really conflicted. I wanted everybody to come here. Anyway. I sure hope that there'll be other opportunities for us to hear what the candidates have to say. So
I wouldn't have come to the other place, to Canada, so I'm here.
yeah, right. Right. That's true, but there's a few in here who would. So, Nancy, you're unmuted, so go ahead and introduce yourself. I'm glad you came here instead of there.
Well, me too. I was just going to say, I'm sure there'll be ample opportunity for us to catch up on all of that scene. Good morning, and thanks for hosting this morning, Lolan. I'm very excited to hear what Susan has to say. It's a very fascinating topic and very timely. I'm Nancy Kreitz here in beautiful Victoria, where the sun is actually shining this morning, and it makes everybody smile.
Yes.
I'm a registered holistic nutritionist, supplementation specialist, Qigong, and meditation instructor. And I believe there are two of us on this panel that believe that simplicity is really the way to go. My whole philosophy is nourish body, mind, and spirit. The simple art of health and wellness, where less is really more. So that's what I'm all about. But when I was listening to Vivek, I was thinking, right on, I totally get that. Simple and technology, and go really simple with your nutrition, please, because it can be very dangerous.
Yeah.
Following the latest fad and whatever it is your neighbor or your mom or your kid told you
You want to do. Yeah.
Just what you need.
Yeah.
So thanks.
Well, and just so everybody knows, I attended Nancy's Qigong session. She had a room full. I think there were 18 people there.
Couldn't
And
have put any more people in, I don't think.
no, we couldn't. It was fabulous. Yeah. So
lovely to have you with us.
yes, I quite enjoyed it. So welcome here.
Thank you.
For sure. So Alana, you got dinner on yet?
Leftovers. Tuesday's leftover night, because I'm on a call at this time of day. So I'm Alana, coming to you from Ireland. My company is ALB Digital Marketing, and I help website designers and people with small businesses with their websites. So it's been quite warm here today, which is nice, but I'm still freezing because I'm always freezing inside the house. But so I've been quite busy, and happy to be here. I'm very interested to hear about Susan's new book. So looking forward to diving in.
Right on. So happy you made it.
And I have no skin in the game, so I would have come to your show anyway.
Right. Right. Oh dear. Well, so as I said earlier, I did purchase Susan's book, and I had an opportunity last evening to dive in, and here's a couple of things that really jumped out for me. And of course, I only got so far in, but I loved the fact that she talked about the different ages, the information age, and then the relationship age, and then the recommendation age, and or the connection connection age. I was fascinated by her looking at those different ages, and I was really impressed with the way she had had her introduction all laid out in terms of how to make the best use of of the book. And she said, just follow RSVP. And I thought that was really really neat. So one of and I'm sure she'll tell you a little bit more about RSVP, but one of the things that really, really jumped out for me was her recognition of the fact that so many of us are constantly feeling overwhelmed. I mean, that topic comes up in my work. It comes up in our whole WA work. It comes up in so many places. So I mean, it's almost as though there's so much information out there that we're just overwhelmed by it all. So So that was something that really, really jumped out for me. So I thought it would be really, really interesting. I don't want us to sort of just do a summary of her book. What I want us to do is to look at her experience. So I invited her to come here and talk to us about why did she decide to write a book, and what was her experience of writing the book and then getting it published, and then especially her marketing process that she used. I thought it was fascinating. So, Susan Joy Schlief, what made you decide you needed a book? Oh, there's David.
David has a question first.
Yes.
Go ahead, David, or comment.
Javita says, congratulations, Susie.
All right.
Thank you,
Okay.
Jimmy. Well, first of all, I will admit in front of the world, I've been saying this. I started working on this book. I haven't checked. It's at least 4 years ago. It might actually even be 5 years ago. And it was a recommendation from one of the mentors I was following at the time. He was teaching about how authority and credibility and visibility are so important in entrepreneurship and in business in general. And that really one of the best ways to get visibility and credibility is to write a book. Mm. And then, of course, he was selling a program to help you do that, which I bought, and it wasn't cheap. And I didn't really follow the program the way he recommended because it didn't fit for me. He was recommending that you do audio recording of your ideas and then get them transcribed and then send the transcript to someone else to edit it and turn it into a book. I just didn't want to do it that way. I can type fast. I like to type while I'm thinking. So I did it that way. And it took longer, of course, but I still liked that process. I think next time I will modify it somewhat because it doesn't need to take 4 years. Part of that was I set it aside for a couple years when I was about 2/3 finished with it. I just was like, I need to focus on making some money. So I focused on that for a while, didn't make much money, but then I finally thought, okay, I got to finish this book. It's been sitting around and I had already paid for the cover design. I'd put a lot of work into it. I thought I need to just push through and get this done. So.
Right on.
I do think the method of recording is probably a good one for most people. I'm still not real comfortable with it myself, but I've learned a lot about how to do it faster the next time, that's for sure.
Well, but Susan, don't you think it would depend to some degree on our own personal style? Because yes, as you're saying, it didn't feel right for you. That wouldn't feel right to me either.
Yeah, and I tried it even. I tried narrating and using Windows actually has a built-in transcription. Mm-hmm. But it would have taken so long to train it to recognize my voice correctly. And, I just was spending so much time editing the transcript that I thought I could type it faster than this, So,
but on the other hand,
well, that's not true,
Yeah. On the other hand, we are moving into voice activation more and more and more. I have to admit that I've stopped trying to type on my phone. I just use nothing but voice recognition there. So yeah. we are getting some practice with our phones.
I haven't done the voice messaging yet, but I need to because I type so slowly on my phone. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm. But it just goes to show, though, that your mentor or your trainer was 4 or 5 years ago was predicting where we were going to go, where we're going.
Yes,
Oh,
definitely. And I know I've seen quite a few other people recommending that approach as well, you know, to speak it and then get it transcribed, or to have someone interview you and then get the interview transcribed, you know. And I think it depends partly on what kind of book you're writing and who the audience is. I wanted mine to be a little bit more formally written and not just using spoken language style. So that made more sense to me as well, to type it that way, you know, so that it's a little bit more of a professional feel to it.
well, and I've already mentioned I really related with that RSVP for sure.
Yeah, if I can just say something about that. You know, part of what I'm teaching in my methodology, which I learned from another mentor, is a way to chunk your message into preferably 3, but sometimes you can get away with 4 key ideas. So I tried to think of how to do that with the book, to structure it so that it was really 4 main ideas I was trying to get across in the book. And then if I could add an acronym to that besides, that would be even better. So it took me a while playing around with changing the names of the sections until I could get something. But when RSVP is something everybody's familiar with, so it makes a good acronym.
Absolutely.
And it makes it easy for me when I'm at a networking event to just count them off on my fingers as I talk about them. So it's a good mnemonic device as well.
Taking care of your brain.
Yes. Yeah.
But and I have to say that possibly the reason I was relating to this in your book is because I just finished a 3-section masterclass offered by Thinkific, which is a
course platform, right?
Yes, a course development platform,
Right.
And it just kind of fit in. I understood immediately what you were up to.
Yeah. Yes, and then, you know, part of what I've done then is to also tie a graphic image or icon to each of those 4 concepts, so that it's not just the chunking down, but visualizing it as well. So if I can just say briefly what those are.
Please do.
R stands for refining your message so that you get it narrowed down to what's the most important thing you want people to know, right? Make it as concrete and concise as possible. So that's refining your message. Then the S is for storytelling. And just, I mean, most people I think know that storytelling is really big in both marketing and in the corporate world. But there are, in the instructional design world, it's a pretty common belief that stories are the best way to learn almost anything. That's how we've been learning for thousands of years. So then the V stands for visual images. And when I first started writing it, I was focused on visual images. Then as the years went on, I had to really expand that. It's not just images, it includes video as well, and animations of all kinds, but visual content. And then the P is for persuasion and decision making. To me, it's about more than just using persuasive language. It's about framing your message in a way that helps your audience make a decision about whether your product or service is right for them. And that's a little different than trying to persuade them to buy what you're offering. You really want them to make the right decision for them. And that might not be to buy your service.
Right. So, I mean, I was fascinated by your use of that acronym, etc. The other thing that I was impressed with, and that's where sort of where I left off last night, is that at the beginning of the book, you really dove into the way the brain works, and you had lots of quotations from various theorists and so forth. So you started off with the theory, and as I was thinking through, actually, as I was thinking through my reaction to the Thinkific course, I mean, I started a course in there months, maybe even more than a year ago, and didn't finish it. And that was and I realized after doing this master class, the reason was that I need that big picture first. I need that big context before I can figure out the nitty-gritty stuff. And I felt like that's what you were doing by, for me anyway, was giving that theoretical piece. So, putting the context, putting it all into context.
Yeah. And from an educational standpoint, that is really important. It builds up what we call scaffolding that supports people processing what you're teaching them and having the space and the time to connect that to what they already know.
Right. Absolutely.
And that's an important part of being able to really absorb what you're learning and know how to implement it. At the same time, I know that not everybody is going to want to read all that theory. Some people want to dive right into the practical stuff. And so you probably noticed in the introduction, I did say,
yep,
if you want to skip over the first section, go ahead, And then as you're reading the rest, you might find, okay, this is what she's suggesting. I don't understand why. Maybe I need to go back and read some of it. And then they have a need for it.
Yes.
And they're more interested in reading it, So, people's brains process things differently. For me, the big picture, like you're talking about, Lola Ann, is really important.
I don't seem to be able to do or learn anything without it.
Exactly. And I hate it when people start a course without giving me that background.
Yeah.
But I know not everybody wants to do it that way.
So let's stop for a minute and give everybody an opportunity to react to that whole concept, because I know everybody here is writing things. So what do you think about that need for the big picture or the theoretical? Anybody react at all?
I once met a person who said, this was a business networking meeting, and what he said was, I don't have a business card to give you, but I have a book.
Right.
So rather than giving a business card, he was saying, I could give you a book.
Boy, that's a lot to absorb at a networking meeting.
Yeah, but then he was the marketing head of the networking group. Then I did get him into one of my I did a book review of another book which did dwell in brain and how it works and so on, and I did bring him as a host, as a guest. And he explained about his book, and I then continued the review of the book that I was reviewing. So the book is really important.
So
that phrase you mentioned, Vivek, is exactly what the book mentor that I had studied with, that's what he said, that he does not use business cards either. he hands out his book, and that's what he recommended we do. Buy a box of them, take them to networking events, have them in your bag and give that out. People are not going to throw your book away the way they throw your business card away,
Yeah.
Wow. So,
I'd like to say something just in
Yeah.
regards of like learning
Mhm.
and scaffolding. And I taught I was an educator, I guess I still am, for 30 years in the public school systems. And our whole, in the primary area, is all about storytelling and song singing. And you teach through the song, like the kids don't realize it, right? It's lovely, but the storytelling contains the whole message, and it's captivating. So it works with, brains of all ages.
Yeah.
And it gets in there, almost in a way where you're just not aware of it, right? On a subconscious level almost. So it is really deep, really authentic learning. And as well, it can address so many levels of, so many learning styles. So anyone reading the book, they can visualize it, they can take notes regarding it, they can make a report and, notes to self. There's all kinds of ways they can represent their understanding in terms of what it is that you're sharing. I think that's really genius. And in terms of scaffolding was huge too, like just building a structure, that framework. But I just want to say, this really resonates with me because I do think it's a very powerful message you've got going there. Very great.
Thanks.
Sharing a really interesting philosophy.
Thank you, Nancy. Yeah, you raised a really interesting point too. The songs and even like singing something and doing movements along with it helps you learn it, right? It gets it into your brain in a different way.
well, it gets into
Makes
your body as well.
That's right. Yep. That's right.
Not just your brain.
Yep. And with kids, you can do that. I'm not sure if you'd get away with it in an adult workshop, but maybe.
Well,
Depends on your audience.
Susan, I belong to a choir, and sometimes we do sing songs that have motion involved in them. And of course, we make it silly and we just make it as a fun thing to do. But it doesn't work. Yeah. So we've kind of covered why you decided to write the book, and a little bit about the experience of doing it and how you how you put it off and picked it up again. And I can sure relate to that one. So what about and you said that you found somebody and I mean, you are a graphic designer, are you not?
I'm not a trained graphic designer. I do a lot of design work for my marketing, and I teach people about how to do their own, but I don't have a background in design.
Yeah, so you got
My
somebody
background
else to design your cover. I noticed.
I did get someone else to design my cover, yes. And he did a really good job.
He did.
He came up with a way to show the concept behind my book, whereas I didn't really have any ideas. And I love what he designed. So even though I paid him quite a bit of money for it.
Hold it up again. Hold it up again.
He gave it to me for half of what he normally charges, and it was still a lot of money.
Wow. It looks Susan, speak so that you're
Yeah, so he he did a great design. He is a professional designer, somebody that I knew from another group I was in on Facebook. So I'm really happy with it. It's hard to get it without the light glaring on it. Let me see. Is that a little better?
It's working.
Okay.
Yeah.
The graphics that are inside the book I did, but the cover I did pay someone for. Yeah. And then the other thing that I ended up paying for, which was kind of holding me back for a while, was getting the inside formatting done. I had checked with CreateSpace a couple years ago and found out it was going to cost me probably $600 or $700 minimum, maybe more, because I had illustrations inside. So then I had started looking at, well, can I do it myself? I don't know. I don't have InDesign software, which is what you would use to do that. I didn't really want to buy it or learn it. I was looking at a free alternate, but I didn't know that either. And then I met someone in another Facebook group that I've been real active in who does book publishing for people, helps them get their books ready to publish and helps them do the bestseller campaigns and things. So she has staff who do that work that she pays. They're overseas, so they're not very expensive. And so she helped me get that part done, and it didn't cost me anywhere near as much as I would have had to pay CreateSpace to do it. So I was very happy with that.
So there's a piece that I don't think anybody was even, I certainly didn't even think of. I mean, I just thought, well, when you type something up and turn it into a PDF, that must be it.
It depends on how professional you want it to look.
Yeah.
Some people do take that Word document and upload it to Kindle and, get it, or they actually have to convert it to, I think it's a .mobi format or something. But some people do it straight from the Word document. Wow. I did not, because I knew I was going to do the paperback. So I wanted it formatted more properly, like it would be typeset, And so her people being able to do that was a big help. Yes, David?
Yes, David.
Jivita has made a comment. For visual learning, images and video content is great. She's talking about video content being another way to learn, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And video has the advantage of the visual content and the audio and motion, usually, which adds a lot. I mean, what we're doing now, the talking head kind of video doesn't have that much motion, but other videos, the motion really adds a big factor to video.
But I think that we all have a different learning style. Like my walking partner, for example, says that video learning doesn't work for her at all. I have to see it in print, is her comment. So there you go,
I prefer print when I can get it as well.
Do you?
But,
Yeah.
Here's what I can add to that. I know there's a lot of discussion always about different learning styles. My sister happens to have a master's degree in special ed. And so she's very involved in all of that. And she said that the research now in the educational field, the last 10 years or so, says there really is no evidence to support so much focus on learning styles.
Really?
Yeah. We definitely all have a learning preference for what style we prefer to learn, but it doesn't mean that we can't learn the other ways, which is what people were emphasizing for a while, that teachers really have to provide it all these different ways because otherwise some kids aren't going to learn it. That's not really true what they're finding now. You have a preference, but if that preference isn't available, you can learn it another way as well.
I know I've changed my preferences towards video. I do a lot of my learning and feel more comfortable with the video nowadays than reading. Although I do read and do learn from reading and do a lot of it. It just seems to be easier for me to get the information. It allows me to stop it and go back and if I don't understand something. Whereas the reading, well, you can do the same thing, just go back and reread it.
I remember reading somewhere, this is another book, that among the learning styles, some are audio, some are visual, some use the sense of touch. So I think, Lolan, your friend is probably one who learns more by the sense of touch, or that's need to have a book in the hand so you can feel the book, smell the pages or whatever. I don't know.
Well, that's really interesting because my theoretical learning was audio, visual, and kinesthetic. And in that kinesthetic was emotional, but moving. So I know that I'm a kinesthetic learner because if I really want to remember somebody's name or anything, if I'm writing, I'm going to remember it. So I had never thought of touch as being part of that as well. That's interesting. Wow.
Yeah, because that is another one of my favorite authors, or Simon Sinek. He brought out a book in which the whole book is scented. They dip it in a perfume or whatever.
Oh.
And it's a book of quotes, memorable quotes or whatever.
Right.
And, he says that this book is for those people who remember things by touch, smell, and all those
the senses. Yeah. Well,
And
that's
add
interesting.
something to that, but let's hear from Fred
Yeah.
and Heidi
Well,
first.
and Heidi, I don't know who was first between Fred and Heidi. For Heidi, go ahead.
Okay. Watch videos, and I really like it, but then I realize I often think I have understood, and then I might not have understood it well, and then going back and find the place where it was, it's hopeless unless there is a transcript. So the best thing for me would be video and a good transcript, not only text, but really also differentiated so that you can find things a book is nice because you can do this. And you cannot do it with audio and you cannot do it with video. So I do think that books will never be outdated, because in some way you need them to also to underline, what I don't want to forget, or make a note or something. On an audio, you cannot make a note. Then you write it on a different paper and then you get confused. You don't know where it was and things. That's But the first impression, of learning, I think it's good in audio or video.
Yeah.
But the second, if you really want to learn it, then you better read.
Do you see what I use in my books?
I can't see what that is.
Those little tabs.
Little
flag things. Yeah.
Heidi raises a good point. In terms of going back to find something in a video, it's very frustrating.
Right.
And the other thing for me where book comes in handy is that you can skim through it to find the place that you wanted to go back to, and you can't do that very well in a video.
Yeah, it's harder. So Fred, what about you? You had you were waving.
Yeah, I wanted to ask Susan a question, sort of to see the book. Who was your target market? Who is the person or the type of person that you really felt would benefit from your book? And the second thing is, how is your marketing gone? Because I think
we're going to go there. Yeah.
So far, I'm sure the book is relatively new, so you may not have a lot of numbers yet, but where do you see it going? Maybe you're getting interest elsewhere. So who is your target market, and
Great question.
Where do you see it going? So I really
Great question. Initially, when I started writing it, I was targeting speakers, presenters, especially people who give the same presentation over and over, and so they really want to make it as good as possible. But I was having a hard time reaching that market because many of them were people who were already successful at what they were doing and didn't see any reason to change their presentation. So I started expanding more to working with people doing content marketing and more with solopreneurs, because I think it really is a system that can be used for other types of content, not just for presentations, not just for live presentations or webinars. And so that became a challenge for me. The mentor I had learned it from, Cliff Atkinson, he wrote a book called Beyond Bullet Points. And so his approach was dealing with presentations. So really, I started focusing it more and expanding the focus to not just presentations, but marketing, content marketing specifically. And so far, I've targeted mostly online solopreneurs. But my goal eventually, I think sometime in the next year, I'm going to start changing my niche a little bit to work more with holistic healthcare practitioners, because they often have something they're doing that's unusual. People maybe don't really understand what it is that they're offering. I mean, if you're an acupuncturist or chiropractor, people kind of know what that is, but somebody who's doing some new holistic method, people are often confused about, why should I even look at this? I don't know what it's about. How would it help me? And it's difficult to put those messages into words in a clear way. So I would really like to start working with those people. In terms of how the marketing's gone, so far it's been mostly online. And I just had the book, the Kindle version came out at the end of August because I had to finish it in time to get an award from this group that I was in, which gave me an interview on someone's show with a huge audience. So I pushed for that. But then I wasn't ready to really do the launch and the promotion. So I just did that last week. And I sold, we were hoping to get 100 sales, which should have put me at the top of one of the categories that the book was in. Unfortunately, there's never any way to predict who else is going to launch at the same time, right? So just a few days before my launch, I got an email from someone who I know has a huge following. He was promoting a multi-author book that he was in. And of course, they zoomed right past us, you know. And as the day went on, we ended up selling between Thursday and the first half of Friday. I think we sold 126 copies or something like that. We were aiming for 100, but they were still, I mean, they were selling so much faster because they had multiple authors all promoting it, and most of them had really big lists. So I knew there was no way we were going to be able to get out ahead of them. We couldn't even keep up with them. So we put the price back up, and, you know, I might think about doing another launch kind of campaign when we do another edition. I don't know yet. I haven't decided for sure about that. We did get to second place for that category, which huge.
You cannot sneeze at the first time out.
Definitely not. And I've got great screenshots of, you know, it says Amazon bestsellers at the top, and I showed like 3 rows of books, and mine is in the second position. That's
pretty darn good.
Good marketing image to use there.
So Susan, could you sort of go back, step back a little bit, because I noticed. I mean, I stumbled on what you were doing on the like I'm not over in Facebook all the time,
right?
But when I was there, I stumbled on it, and I mean, you used Facebook as your main kind of jump off, and I think
my main place,
yeah, and I think people here and anybody watching would be interested to kind of hear how you put that all together, pointing toward the Kindle promotion.
Yeah. Well, first of all, let me just say, I know ideally I need to be on a lot of other platforms doing it as well. And I just, that in those few weeks between when the Kindle went up and I was trying to do the promotion, there just wasn't time. And there wasn't time to begin with. And then I had the week before realized that the website I had created a while ago for the book was infected with malware. So I was dealing with
Oh no.
trying to get that fixed. HostGator could not fix it. So I ended up having to create a new web page, have them redirect to it, so I didn't get nearly as much marketing set up as I had hoped to do. But anyway, what I did do, and I think this was a mistake in that I'll fix for next time, I set up, I like to follow the holiday calendars and do things kind of tied to that.
Mm-hmm.
And there were quite a few holidays right before that seemed like they would be good opportunities for me to do. I ended up doing a daily Facebook Live for 2 weeks, talking about topics related to those holidays and related to my book. But I think that was too much in some ways. I think it probably would have been better to do 3 or 4, maybe 5 days, but to drag it out for that long, I think it was a lot of work for me and didn't really get, I did get good response, but I don't think it needs to be that long. I think a shorter campaign would have been better.
Mm-hmm.
And also, yeah, I'm not sure why. Part of what I was trying to do with that was I had an opt-in link for people to go and get the calendar of all those events that would include the links to the recordings as well. It didn't get as many opt-ins for that as I thought I would. And that would have given me, people to then email reminders to about buying the book on the 27th. But, and that could just be partly that I didn't have enough people lined up to help promote it. I thought I had several people with big lists, but because I wasn't able to follow up with them the week before while I was dealing with the website problems,
right.
I think I kind of dropped the ball on it, and it didn't happen as I was expecting. So.
And of course, your day, like I said, I would be happy to help. And your launch day, which happened to be my day of work, so I'm not at my desk that day.
Right.
So I posted the day before.
Yeah.
And I wondered whether that was because I posted in Google Plus. I did everything I could over there because I know how to do that.
I appreciate that because I don't use it much anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that was fine. I don't know. I haven't looked at whether we got any from there. I mean, I don't know how I would know that. So
you
unless
probably
you recognize the names, maybe
of
people that follow you.
Yeah.
But I did get a lot of names that I don't recognize. But there were a number of people that shared Facebook posts and things like that. So they could have come from a lot of different places. One of the things that I thought was kind of fun when I had to recreate the website, I use a program called Convertry, which is not WordPress, but it lets me kind of host it on their site and then redirect the other domain to there. But in the process of doing that, then I also had to think about how am I going to have, and I hadn't quite figured this out even before that, how to have people. I wanted them to send me their receipt to get access to a free course just for people who bought during that campaign, right? And then originally I was thinking, okay, I'll have them send me the receipt. I'll send them back an email with a link to opt in to access the course. So it would have been a 2-step process, And then all of a sudden I realized that I remembered that GetResponse has a way that people can opt in via email. and I'd never used it. So I tested that and got it working, and that was great. It let them send their receipt and it automatically put them on the list to get an autoresponder going back to them with the information about the course. So I was really pleased with that. It made it much easier.
So it sounds like a major learning that you had, that all of the marketing pieces probably should have been in place and really working well before you.
Longer ahead of time, yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah. Well.
and I knew that was going to be a problem because I was pushing to get it launched by the end of August, and just, I don't know, I don't even know if I told you this, Lola, and in the middle of that, early in August, my mother passed away.
Oh.
So then I was out in Washington.
Oh my, yeah.
With my family, so it really put me behind getting the Kindle book published. And my friend Diane helped me get that done, but then the marketing just really wasn't ready. So.
How many, I've got a question for you.
It's not bad. It just could have been a lot better. So, yes, Dave.
How many people did you use to help you with this? Was it mostly you, or it sounds like it was mostly you?
To do the marketing?
The whole process.
You did the writing. I did the writing. Yep. I did have someone else design the cover. I had someone else do the interior layout. And then my friend Diana, who is known as the book shepherd, she really, the last 6 months or so, she's really been guiding me a lot in terms of different tasks that I needed to be sure to include. She helped me figure out about getting the Library of Congress number for it, which is not something that was included in that other training I took. That original training didn't really have much at all about the publishing end of it. It was kind of like, okay, when you get to that point, then you pay somebody to do that for you, so. And so Diana's been a huge help for that. And
that's a good point, though, that we need to stop and emphasize that. So the publishing does require a certain amount of expertise and knowledge. And if you want to do it, if you want, I do know people here in Victoria who have self-published. I think
that's what this is. Yeah.
Yeah. A number of people here I know offer their services to help other people do it, because it's all extremely time consuming, isn't it?
It is. And, it doesn't mean that I could not have figured it out on my own, but it would have taken a lot more time to read all the information on the Amazon Kindle website, and just, even like things like getting the Library of Congress number, which I wouldn't even have thought to do if she hadn't recommended it, but it adds another layer of authority to the book.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And even just going through the process of filling out that form and submitting it, there were questions I had to message her about, like, what am I supposed to put in here, So it's possible to do it all yourself, but to really make sure you're doing it all correctly, I think it definitely helps to have a guide that's gone through it before.
However, I think there's another lesson in what you're describing, and that is just do it.
Just do it.
Because the next time you're sitting down to write a book, look at what you have learned.
Yes. Yeah, and next time I feel much more comfortable about getting it all submitted myself. There probably will be very few questions I need to ask Diana. I definitely will hire her team to do the formatting again. That was one of the best investments I made. I probably would not hire a professional designer to do the cover again. I can either do that myself or hire someone less expensive. That's not to minimize the work that David did. He gave me a great cover, but I don't know that I would use justify that expense again.
So, are you comfortable saying, or maybe you haven't tallied it up yet, I don't know, but I mean, given, the book's out now, what did it cost you to do it? Roughly.
I have not tallied that
You
up.
haven't tallied it up,
And
okay?
I am, even without tallying it up, I can tell you I am way in the hole in terms of the book right now. I sold, one of my friends picked up a copy at full price earlier last month. So I've sold one copy at $9.99. Then I put it down to 99 cents for the campaign, and we sold 126 or whatever.
Right.
But you only get 35% royalties at that price. So I get 35 cents on every book that was sold.
Right.
Which, is what? $3 or $30. I don't know. I haven't done the math on that yet. It's not much. And then I put the price back up. I put it back up to $7.99 instead of $9.99.
Now, why did you decide to do that?
Because I wasn't, initially I had made it $9.99 because the paperback is going to be $23.95. That's printed on the cover, so I can't really change that at this point.
Right.
And I just thought $9.99 was a good discount compared to that. But after having it at 99 cents, I thought, well, let me just raise it to $7.99 for now and see if we can sell some more that way, But I haven't even looked since Friday to see if we sold any more at the full price.
Susan, here is your coach talking. Never
Yes.
underestimate the value of your work.
Oh yes,
Put it back up.
I will at some point, but I just wanted to ease it back up, So people who missed the sale might think, oh, okay, I can still buy that for $8 more than they might say for $10, But I will put it back up, especially when the paperback comes out. I will definitely.
Now, of course, that some of us here, it was more because of the difference in the American and Canadian dollar.
Yeah, I don't know how that works. And I had a number of people buy it in the UK too that are in this other group with me.
Yeah.
So I don't know
how
Amazon handles that conversion.
I can tell you that it cost me $1.23.
Additional, or that's the price you paid.
That was the price I paid for the
night. $1.23 Canadian, or
yeah.
Okay.
So I purchased the 99-cent one, and it came out at $1.23.
$1.23 Canadian dollars.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what the conversion rate is, so.
Well, it varies.
Right.
So, Fred
is waving.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to say goodbye. I'll listen to the rest on video.
Okay.
Very interesting. A lot of good messages about having an acronym. I think that's powerful, and and also to hear the challenges of getting a book out. But there's good reasons for it.
Yeah.
I'll listen. I'll be interested in having maybe a follow-up sometime. Maybe I don't know, months from now or even a year from now, saying what was the whole learning curve, because I think there's a lot to learn, a lot of good messages.
Yeah. And I know, Fred, you asked what I'm going to do going forward, and I do want to talk about that, so you'll have to catch that on the recording.
I will. So I have to leave now. Thank you very much. It was always very enjoyable. Thank you.
See you, Fred.
Yeah, I don't know how much longer you want to go, Loan, but
we're 10 minutes over, but we always go over. And,
I know.
And Fred has another meeting a regular meeting that he normally has to dive out to. So.
All right. Well, if I can just say briefly, my plan at this point with the book is to get the paperback finished and posted. I just have to finish reviewing the proof copy, and then that should be up probably next week. But also my plan now is to start approaching people like you and another friend who's having me on next week to start doing whatever they want, whether it's to come on and do an interview or to do a little mini presentation or to do a guest blog post or something, to get their audience interested.
A quick update. J. Neil says he just bought it.
Oh, great. Thank you so much.
J.
Thank you, Jay. I appreciate that.
Oh, he must be on the outside.
Oh, he's watching instead of in here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Jay. Good to see you here.
Right.
But yeah, that's the plan, is to start. I have a number of people who had offered to help promote it, who I don't think really did much last week because of various conflicts they had. But my friend Ellen Finkelstein has messaged me on Friday and said that she hoped to be able to promote it soon. I said, well, how about if we schedule something, to do like a special promotion for her list and whatever she wants that to look like, and I can't lower the price for them for that because that's too messy. And I don't know of any way to give her a commission off of the Amazon sale, but what I can do is offer a special bonus for her people.
Well, but if she's an Amazon affiliate, she'll get a commission anyway.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I don't know if she is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
So I know we didn't really talk about that here, but I can do that here as well. If anybody does want to buy the book, and like Jay just did, if you want to send me your receipt and put Lowell Ann's name in the subject line, then I'll know you bought it through here. And I can give them access to the same course I was offering last week for the campaign, or if you think something else would be better, Lowell Ann. We didn't really talk about that.
No. The purpose of all of this was to give you an opportunity to share what your book is and your process, so that we would all learn from it.
Yep.
And I'm thinking that I'm hoping that everybody like Jay will go buy it. I mean, the price you put it at is not very.
$8 is still reasonable.
It's not. It's still very reasonable.
Yep.
And I have to say that I got far enough into the book to really know that I'm going back. I'm going to be finishing it.
Yeah.
Got two more comments. Jay put in he enjoyed, or if he enjoys the read, he will mention it in his webinar as a recommended resource. And
that's great. Thank you, Jay.
Javita said, Susan, which is the best way of promoting according to you?
Oh, I think there's no universal answer for that. It really depends on where your audience is. Where do most of your people hang out? I know Lowell Ann has a lot more people following her on Google+. I have never been that big a Google+ user, even though I have a Hangout show. It's just Google+ has not been a big thing for me. So for me, it's more Facebook. And now I'm starting to get over into Instagram as well.
I think I posted the picture over on Instagram as well.
Oh, did you? Okay,
I did.
I didn't see that.
Yeah.
I have not gotten into a regular habit over there yet. I need to do that.
Yeah. So
what would you say to that, Lowell Ann? Where do you think is the best place to promote the book?
Knowing where your own crowd is, where you're going to have the most people looking. Yeah.
One interesting thing I did see was I usually do my live streams in Facebook from my page. And on the day of the launch, I did one on my personal profile just to try and get some more people to buy. And I got a whole bunch of people jumping on live with me. Of course, it was in the evening too. But I'm really thinking I probably should do something weekly on my personal profile in addition to my page, because a lot more people are going to see it there.
Well, you and I can have some conversation about what I need to learn about Facebook.
Oh, sure. I'd be happy to do that.
I know how it all works in Google Plus, but I just discovered something recently that should have been obvious to me about Facebook recently,
And they keep changing it all the time. So, yeah, you and I should set up a co-tutoring thing.
Yeah, no
You can
kidding.
teach me about Google Plus and OBS, and I'll teach you about Facebook.
Why not? I'd be very happy to do that.
Yeah, good. Let's do it.
That's what the Being Your Own CEO Success Circle is all about.
Right.
So,
Right. Vivek, you were starting to say something?
No, I was just trying to say that the book I was talking about, the person who said, I don't have a business card, I have a book. His book is a dummies series, business networking for dummies. And
okay.
that was on the Amazon top seller list for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
So he knew what he was talking about. And but one thing I thought, pricing should not be changed very often. That's my feeling. You change the price very often, then people probably will wait for you to change the price again. Or
Right.
a good point.
Yeah. Yeah, I think dropping it down to 99 cents is something you don't want to do very often, definitely.
yeah.
I have another comment from Jay.
Mhm.
He says social media outreach to industry experts is a great way to gain exposure for your book. Offer complimentary copies in exchange for interviews and reviews.
There you
That's
go.
a great idea, Jay. Thank you. And in fact, my friend Diana had just purchased a tool that let her search for persons of influence. And she sent me a list of some of those people that I can contact on social media. So that's one of my next steps too,
Mhm. Right on.
including people like big names like Jeff Bolus in Australia. He's a big name in content marketing. And
Mhm.
so thanks,
Well,
Jay. I will
you've
do
still
that.
got lots ahead of you.
Oh yeah, and that's going to be an ongoing project, you know. And I've also been looking at how to tie my services to be more connected to the book, so that when I'm going to offer webinars or trainings of some kind, to, even though it may branch off a little bit into content creation and PowerPoint techniques and things like that, but to still keep tying it back to the book. So that more and more people will think about buying the book, you know, and so that my business feels more cohesive that way too, you know, that it's all focused around the book.
Now, if you decide that you need a more extensive website, you know that Alana here does work with, does help people with their websites. So.
I did make a note of that today when she introduced herself. Yes, I will be contacting you, Alana. I can.
No problem.
I know enough to do it myself, but I don't have time to do everything. So.
Well, that's really my niche, actually, is I do the stuff that people don't have time to do. So
yeah, right. I will definitely follow up with you.
But
Nancy,
I
with you too.
I would love to maybe Lola another session with Susan, kind of dive in a little bit of her book, because I've been in conversation, and thank you for